Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope that all of you are safe at your home. This is class 6th, subject Social Science, chapter number 7 of History. Name of the chapter is New Questions and Ideas. As we have covered its 2 lectures, and in those 2 lectures we have covered all the topics of this chapter, New Questions and Ideas. Today this is going to be our lecture number 3 and it's our summary lecture. As you all know that in summary lecture we summarize the chapter. We recapitulate all the topics covered in different lectures. So today what we are going to do, we are going to recapitulate all the topics covered in lecture number 1 and 2. Topics to be recapitulated are Gautam Buddha, one of the great philosopher of India, about the life story of Gautam Buddha. Number 2, teachings of Gautam Buddha, what messages he taught to the people, that we will discuss again. Number 3, Upanishads we will talk, the philosophical books of Hindus. Number 4, Mahavir Jain, who is related to Jainism. As in this chapter we talked about 2 major religions found in India, Buddhism and Jainism. Gautam Buddha, who belonged to Buddhism, and Mahavir Jain belonged to Jainism. Number 5, teachings of Mahavir Jain, as he was also the great philosopher. So what messages he gave to the people in society, how did he teach the people, that will take. Number 6, the Sanghas. Number 7, monasteries and viharas, once again we will do the meanings of these. And 4 ashramas of life, the 4 stages of life, these refers to 4 ashramas of life. So let's recapitulate the topics one by one. Mahatma Buddha or Gautam Buddha, and he got this Mahatma or Gautam Buddha name after getting the enlightenment in his life, after getting the true knowledge in his life, when he meditated for a long time under a peepal tree. Okay, otherwise his real name was Siddhartha. That we will recapitulate again the complete story. Gautam Buddha was the founder of Buddhism, the religion Buddhism that was founded by Gautam Buddha. His real name was Siddhartha. He was a Kshatriya prince. Here prince will come, N is missing. He was a Kshatriya prince, means he belonged to Kshatriya caste. As we already talked about the Varnas of society, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Shudras. So he belonged to Kshatriya family, he was Kshatriya prince, Prince, prince. Number 3, he belonged to a small Gana known as the Sakya Gana. So Gautam Buddha belonged to the Gana, its name was Sakya Gana. Number 4, he left his home for getting enlightenment. Enlightenment means the true knowledge of the life. So he left his home or all the comforts of the palace for getting enlightenment in his life. He meditated under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya in Bihar for a long period of time. For getting enlightenment, what he did, he meditated under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya in Bihar. He taught the people in Sarnath for the first time. So what was the place where he started his teaching? That was Sarnath near Varanasi, when he taught the people for the first time. He passed away at Kusinara. So this is the little life story is given in your book about Mahatma Buddha or Gautam Buddha. Now, what teachings he gave to the people or what type of messages he gave? Main teachings of Gautam Buddha. He taught the people that life is full of sufferings and unhappiness. According to Buddha, the people they have the sufferings and unhappiness in their life that we suffer. And the main reason for that, according to Buddha, that was our desires. The people they have desires in their life, that's why they get the sufferings and unhappiness in their life. He also taught the people to be kind and respect the lives of others. This was also taught by Gautam Buddha that you must be kind to the lives of others, whether the other people or animals, anything. You must be kind with the other's life. Number 3, Buddha believed that result of our actions affect us in this life and next life also. According to Buddha, whatever we are doing, whatever karma we are doing, actions we are doing, those actions affect us in this present life as well as the next life also. So, do the good deeds so that your life will be good, this one and next one also. Number 4, he believed that cravings could be removed by moderation. Craving, as I told you, craving means strong desires and moderation, self-control. So according to Buddha, the strong desires could be removed by, could be controlled by self-control. When desires are endless, we want more and more in our life, he described it as tanha or thirst. So how did he describe the endless desires? He described the endless desires as tanha or thirst. So these were some main teachings given by Gautam Buddha. Now we have also discussed that what way he adopted for spreading his messages. First thing, that he himself moved from one place to another for teaching the common people, for teaching the ordinary people. He was moving for complete life till his death for teaching the different ordinary people in different places. Second thing, he adopted the language of the common people. At that time, the people they had their language, that was or the Prakrit language they were using. So that was the language of ordinary people, and he adopted that language so that he could be able to teach the people, teach more and more people. He could be able to give the messages to more and more people. So these were some ways that we have done. And one more thing, that he told the people, do not accept me, rather you just experience the things, simply don't accept me simply, rather you experience those things. So these some of the ways that we discussed in first lecture that Buddha adopted for spreading his messages. Upanishads. These are philosophical books of Hindus. These were the parts of later Vedic text. Upanishads literally means approaching and sitting near. The text contained conversation between teachers and students. So Upanishads basically are the philosophical books. As Vedas we have done, the philosophical books of Hindus. So these are the later Vedic text, means जो वेदास के बाद लिखे गए हों. Upanishads meaning approaching and sitting near. When the disciples, or you can say students, they sit there near their gurus or near their masters, and they were getting knowledge. So the text contained conversation between teachers and students. So it's literally means approaching and sitting near. Remember this, it is its meaning. So these are the Upanishads. Upanishadic thinkers. As in lecture number 1 also we talked that most of the Upanishadic thinkers were men and belonged to Brahmin category. Most of the thinkers were Brahmins. There were some exceptional cases given there in the chapter. They were Gargi. She was a lady, but she attended different debates there in royal courts. So this is exceptional case because women, they were not the part of Upanishadic thinkers. They were not the part of the debates in royal courts except Gargi. And one more example from the slave, you can say slaves, that was Satyakama Jabala. He was also the son of slave Jabali. Jabali was the name of Satyakama Jabala's mother. So he belonged to the slaves category, but he was Upanishadic thinker. So these exceptional cases were given. Otherwise, if we talk about the Upanishadic thinkers were Brahmin, most of the Brahmin and men. Okay, that this Upanishadic thought they were later developed by famous thinker Shankaracharya. Okay, now there were some of the questions in the mind of Upanishadic thinkers that they wanted to answer. Number 1, Upanishadic thinkers wanted to know the life after death. That was the question in their mind. Is there something that remains alive after the death? Some wanted to know why sacrifices should be performed. As we have seen that during that period of time, different sacrifices were performed, like we talked about the horse sacrifices. Okay, so they wanted to know why these sacrifices should be performed. Are they necessary? Number 3, they felt that there was something permanent that would last even after death, and they described it as Atma. And there one more concept is given that they describe the individual soul is Atma and the universal soul, that is Brahmin. But they believed that Atma and Brahmin, they both are same. They both are one. According to the Upanishadic thinkers, both universal soul or the individual soul, these are ultimately the one. Okay, Atma that describes the individual soul and Brahmin that describes universal soul, or ultimately they both are one. So these were some of the questions that they wanted to answer. Next is Vardhaman Mahavir. As we talked about Buddha, who was founder of Buddhism. Now Mahavir Jain or Vardhaman Mahavir, he was not the founder of Jainism, but he played very great role to there in Jainism. Okay, he taught many people there about Jainism, and the followers of Jainism, they were known as Jainas. Mahavir Jain was 24th Tirthankara of the Jainas. Jainism was founded by Rishabhnath. Okay, as I told you that Buddha was founder of Buddhism, but Mahavir Jain was not the founder of Jainism. He was last and 24th Tirthankara of Jainas. Here Tirthankara means the leaders, those who were proceeding that particular religion. Okay, Jainism was basically founded by Rishabhnath. He was a Kshatriya prince of the Licchavis, and Licchavis that was there in Vaji Sangha. Okay, so he was from Vaji Sangha and he was Kshatriya prince as Buddha was there. He also left all the comforts of the palace and left his home at the age of 30. He left his home at the age of 30 and meditated for 12 years in a forest. So, and for what reason? Again, he also left the home for getting enlightenment in his life, for getting the true knowledge in his life. So, the next is main teachings of Mahavira. So, we'll now talk about the main teachings of Mahavira. He taught the people who wished to know the truth must leave their homes. So, according to Mahavira, the people who really wished to know the truth, they must leave their home. Okay, and even this Jainism, they were focusing on celibacy. Celibacy means without getting married. Okay, so because as it is written there that those who wish to know the truth, they must leave their homes, they must leave their families. Number 2, people must follow the rules of ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence, not to harm anyone, and they strongly believed in ahimsa. That's why the rules of Jainism, they were little bit difficult. So all the people, they were not able to adopt Jainism. Like one example of farmers, it is given. Farmers, they had to kill the insects to save or to protect their crops from insects. So it was really difficult for them to adopt Jainism, because it is strictly the teachings were given there not to harm any of the creature. So people must follow the rules of ahimsa. This was one of the teaching. Do not steal anything and lead a very simple life. So Mahavira taught the people that you should live the very simple life. Mahatma was against the caste system, or Mahavira was against the caste system. As caste system, we talked about Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras, but according to Mahavira, he did not believe in caste system. Even Buddha also did not believe in caste system. He also believed that all the people, they were equal. Number 5, he laid stress on Triratna. As we talked about Triratna of Mahavira, right conduct, right belief, right knowledge, Sahi Vyavhar, Sahi Viswas and Sahi Gyan. So these were the teachings of Mahavir Jain. The Sangha. Next topic is the Sangha. Sangha, as we talked about in 6th chapter also, there we talked that Sangha, that is an organization of the people. There we talked about. If you remember, in 6th chapter also we talked about Sangha means organization or association. Now here what the meaning is explained here according to Buddha and Mahavira. An association of those people who left their homes. Both Buddha and Mahavira felt that those who left their homes could gain true knowledge. So this is Sangha described here, an association of people who left their homes for getting the knowledge, and both Buddha and Mahavira, they felt that the people could gain the true knowledge when they left their home. Here one more thing we discussed, that it was easy to adopt Sangha or to join Sangha for men, but it was difficult for different people, like women if we talk about. It was difficult for them because they had to take permission from their husband for joining Sangha. For children also, they had to take permission from their parents to join Sangha. Even servants, they had to take permission from their masters for joining Sangha. So it was easy for man to join Sangha. There was no condition. The rules made for Buddhist Sangha were written down in a book named Vinay Pitaka. Here we are talking about the Buddhist Sangha only, as both Mahavir or Buddha, they both felt that those who left their homes could gain true knowledge. So Buddhist Sangha's rule were written down in a book named Vinay Pitaka. Okay, and if you talk about Mahavira, the teachings of Mahavira, they were basically orally transmitted for several centuries. They were written down in the form in which they are presently available at a place called Vallabhi in Gujarat. Okay, so this is all about Sangha and different rules of Jainism and Buddhism. The next topic is monasteries. Monasteries, as we talked, that shelter houses. The temporary shelter houses were monasteries. Or temporary means these monks or nuns, they were basically living there in the caves. Those were temporary ones. Okay, so natural caves, those were they were finding, they were living in them only. And basically these monks and nuns were moving from place to place for teaching the teachings of giving the teachings of Buddha to different people in society. But at the rainy season, that was really difficult to move on. That's why they were living there in monasteries. So we are talking about the meaning of monastery. The temporary shelter houses which were built for monks and nuns who went from one place to another to spread the teachings of Buddha. Okay, here we talked about the monks and nuns. Those were moving from place to place for giving the teachings of Buddha. Monks and nuns, those adopted Buddhism, they were monks and nuns. Now, the next is viharas. Viharas were the permanent shelter houses for monks and nuns. The permanent shelter houses for monks and nuns were called viharas, and these were basically earliest viharas. They were made up of wood, and then later on these were made up of bricks also. So earliest viharas were built of wood, later they were made of bricks. This is all about the permanent shelter houses for monks and nuns. And even one of the example of temporary monastery, temporary shelter house or monastery, it is given in your book also. The cave in Karle, the cave that they used as monastery, that is in Karle, present day Maharashtra. So monks and nuns lived there and meditated there in Karle. Karle, present day in Maharashtra. It is given in your book also. Now, the system of ashramas. As I told you that here ashramas does not mean where the student they get education from their gurus. That is different one. So here ashramas does not mean the place where people live and meditate. Rather than it described stages of life like brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, samyasa. These 4 stages of life are described. Okay, so these are known as the 4 ashramas of life. Let's discuss about these 4 ashramas of life. Number 1, brahmacharya. It was the stage of life in which Brahmin, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were expected to lead a very simple life and study the Vedas during the early years. So in early years of the age, the men from Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishya, they were expected to study Vedas. That stage was known as Brahmacharya. Shudras were not allowed to study Vedas, and women also. That's why it is written here, men of Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, men were expected to study Vedas during their early years of the life. That stage was known as Brahmacharya. Number 2, Grihastha. After Brahmacharya, they had to marry and live as householder. Means after getting married, they were living the life of householder. They were taking care of the house. Next is Vanaprastha. In Vanaprastha, they had to live in forests and meditate. This is the time period when people, they were giving the responsibilities to their children, and they started meditating there in forest. And the last is Samyasa. At last they had to give up everything and become sannyasis. This was the stage of life, the old days we can say, when the people, they had to give up everything. They gave all the responsibilities to their children and they had become sannyasis. So these are the 4 stages of life. Those are described as 4 ashramas of life. This is all about ashramas of life. Then at last we talked about elsewhere also, we talked about Zoroaster also, Iranian prophet, and whose teaching that were written there in Avesta, one of the book Avesta. So this is all about the complete chapter that we discussed, the new questions and ideas. So now it's time for homework. I hope that all the topics are clear now to you. Now today homework is one assignment. Do the following assignment. Question number 1, fill in the blanks. Number 1, dash near Varanasi where Buddha taught for the first time. Here you have to write the name of the place. The Buddha attained enlightenment at the place. You will write Upanishadic thinkers believed that the dash and dash were ultimately one. So to whom they were saying one, they will write here. Number 4, Vardhaman Mahavira was a Kshatriya prince of the dash. Okay, here you will write that place name. Number 5, the Buddha belonged to a small Gana known as dash. The name of Gana you will write here. Now some short questions. Number 2, who was Zoroaster? Number 3, what is Avesta? Number 4, what was Lord Buddha's birth name? Number 5, who were Jainas? Number 6, who prepared grammar for Sanskrit that we discussed in the first lecture? Panini, right here. Number 7, who was the founder of Buddhism? Number 8, why Buddha left the comforts of his home? Number 9, where Buddha died? Number 10, where did Siddhartha attain enlightenment? How did Mahavira attain enlightenment? The teaching of Buddhism and Jainism were propagated in which language? Means in which language they gave the teachings or messages. Name the book in which the rules made for the Buddhist Sangha were written down. Here you will write the name of that book that we discussed in the lecture also. So this is all about the assignment that you will do. Now it's time for homework solution of lecture number 2. Question 1 was, what were the main teachings of Mahavira? The main teachings of Mahavira were, he taught the people who wish to know the truth must leave their home. People must follow the rules of ahimsa, do not steal anything and lead a simple life. Mahavira was against the caste system. He laid stress on three Ratna: right conduct, right belief, right knowledge. Number 2 question was explain the four ashramas. Answer: number 1 Brahmacharya. It was the stage of life in which Brahmin, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, men were expected to lead a simple life and study the Vedas during the early years. Grihastha, after Brahmacharya, they had to marry and live as householders. Vanaprastha, in Vanaprastha, they had to live in forest and meditate. Samyasa, at last they have to give up everything and become Samyasa. Third question was define the following terms. Number 1 Sangha, an association of those people who left their homes. Both Buddha and Mahavira felt that those who left their homes could gain true knowledge. Second is monastery, the temporary shelter house which were built for monks and nuns who went from place to place to spread the teaching of Buddha. Vihara, permanent shelter houses, shelters for monks and nuns were called viharas. Who was the founder of Jainism? Rishabhnath was the founder of Jainism, and the founder of Buddhism was Mahatma Buddha or Gautam Buddha. So that's it for today's lecture. I hope that you have understood all the questions given there in assignment as well as all the topics those we have recapitulated today. Thank you and have a nice day.